Hey Joburg, how are you guys doing? So are you sitting at home on a Saturday doing nothing? Well, you should get off your butt and head into the city because, as I keep saying, there's so much to do in Joburg if you just take the time to find it. We're going for a photo walk with Anton Bosman today through the streets of Joburg to find out why he loves this city so much. Okay, so Anton, you obviously love Joburg. Right. Tell me why you spend so much time and effort capturing the city.
I didn't grow up in the city. I mean, living in the suburbs, you see it from a distance, and that skyline, let's face it, that skyline is just amazing, and you become like attracted to the place. You know, you see the bigger cities on TV and in magazines like New York and that, and you think, can Joburg be like that? And when I eventually found my feet and I got out of the house finishing school, I ended up in a lot of clubs here. So ended up in a club just off Small Street Mall, the Doors, the Junction, a lot of the clubs in town, and you end up walking in town. I mean, where we're standing right now, Gandhi Square, is the old Van der Bijl Square. So this was the bus stop that everyone came to go to wherever. So I'd come from Turffontein catching a bus, because that's where we had a flat, and with a bus, come to Van der Bijl Square here and then walk my way to Wits to get to class. You know, and as you go along, you're just buying yourself a breakfast quickly and you fall in love with the place. And we obviously know that the city got really bad in the sort of mid-90s. And I think it was with the restoration of Ponty when they grabbed Ponty and decided they're going to revamp and do things to the city. And I mean, let's be honest, we got Maboneng just down the road to the left here. It's cool, but it doesn't really fascinate me as this part of the city, because this is where we lived as students, as youngsters, and this is where all the great architecture is happening. You know, when I create the cityscapes that I do it completely different. For me, it's to portray the city the way it feels in my heart. So I capture the city in a certain way. I spend a lot of time working on a particular composition, often thinking the composition out months or weeks beforehand. You know, and then come and compose the composition and take the shot, and then apply my own editing technique to get that sense of surrealism. You know, and that surrealism is how I feel when I stand here. You know, like we are standing here right now, we've got the music going in the distance. We've got the cool air coming in, we've got the sun setting. All our senses are working, and it's a magical feeling. You're standing in a place that's vibrant, it does something for the spirit. So I try and bring across that exact feeling into the images.
But without giving too much away, how the hell do you do it?
Having worked in a darkroom in the early 90s, I use Lightroom for editing. I take a single exposure and I expose for mostly for the sky. If it's a night shot, I would expose for the entire scene, and normally an overexposure. So I do a lot of long exposures, and I edit. I take the image with the essence of what I'm going to do in post-process. So when I hit that shutter button, when I hit that shutter control, whatever it is I'm using at the time, I know exactly what I'm going to do when I get home, upload that image, and what the editing process is going to be.
Now, your daytime stuff, are you using ND filters to get that? Because I mean, you've got a lot of motion in your pictures.
Yes, most definitely. So I would use predominantly an ND10 filter. I've got an ND10, and then I have a variable filter that's ND2 to ND10. I hardly ever go over 6 on that filter because it gets funny vignetting crosshairs. But you'd often find me in the day stacking the two filters and going to like an ND14, 14 stops, to get 30 seconds to a minute to even 5 minutes, at times even 15-minute exposures. It's quite amazing because the sun is setting, and it's setting not quick but rapidly enough to change light. And that light comes down and you're getting all the color casts that it brings over that 5 minutes into your image. So when you upload that image into Lightroom and you start playing with a bit of saturation, you start seeing oranges, purples, pinks, reds. You're getting everything that the eye normally sees and we take for granted. But the camera, you make that photo to capture all those colors, and that brings across also a lot of that surrealism with very little editing process afterwards, actually, believe it or not.
And then last of all, where do people find your work?
I'm on Instagram, Anton Bosman. I've got a Facebook page, Landscapes by Anton Bosman as well.
I love the fact that you are encouraging people to come into the city, and your work is seriously phenomenal.
Thank you.
So keep it up, keep bringing people into the city, and we'll definitely send people to your channels.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Sean.
So once again, another fantastic afternoon spent in this wonderful city. You need to get off your butts, get out into the city, and come and visit Joburg. I promise you, it's not as scary as you all think. Isn't Anton amazing? I mean, the photos he produces are just fantastic. Go check his website out, and don't forget, smash the like button, subscribe, share it with your friends, and I'll chat to you tomorrow. Cheers, Joburg.